clips on the internet. These hearings went for hours. We're going to play several of them, then go to your phone calls. We have a guest coming on dealing with the bird flu that they tried to mix up with the regular flu vaccine so it could mutate and just cause incredible devastation. That's mainstream news that it could have done that. That's coming up. This is Senator Bernie Sanders questioning Ben Bernanke, and he starts asking him, where is the money? Where did you spend it? And Bernanke tries to spin it and says, it's on our website. He goes, what banks did you give it to? Well, I can't tell you that. And Bloomberg Financial is reporting on this yet again. And it's not $2.5 trillion. It's not $3 trillion like the senator's saying. It's over $9.7 trillion right now. So let's go ahead and go to that clip.
Will you tell the American people to whom you lent $2.2 trillion of their dollars? Will you tell us who got that money and what the terms are of those agreements?
We explain each of our programs. In terms of the terms, we explain the terms exactly. We explain what the collateral requirements are. We explain what
to whom did you explain that?
It's on our website.
Yeah, okay.
So all that information is available in our commercial paper program.
And who got the money?
Hundreds and hundreds of banks. Any bank or that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
Can you tell us who they are?
No, because the reason that is counterproductive and will destroy the value of the program is that banks will not come to this.
Isn't that too bad?
Sorry?
In other words, isn't that too bad? They took the money, but they don't want to be public about the fact that they received it. We heard a whole lot about AIG. They're on the front pages.
These are very.
Now, I got banks and I have businesses in the state of Vermont who are in a lot of trouble. Not banks. Our banks, by the way, are doing pretty well. Now, how do these guys who are honest business people get it? Do you have to be a large, greedy, reckless financial institution to apply for these monies?
There is no subsidy. There is no capital involved. There is no gift involved. It is a collateralized, short-term liquid loan that is both over-collateralized and is recourse to the company itself. We have never lost a penny doing it.
And how can other institutions get those loans as well?
According to the law, we are supposed to be lending to depository institutions.
Let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. I have a hard time understanding how you have put $2.2 trillion at risk without making those names available, those institutions public. And we're going to introduce legislation today, by the way, to demand that you do that. It is unacceptable to me that that goes on. Mr. Chairman, one of the issues that bothers me very much is that for many, many years, some of us were concerned about deregulation. Some of us were very concerned about where the economy was going. We didn't hear much coming from the Bush administration, who told us over and over again that the fundamentals of the economy were sound. We didn't hear much from the Fed. Now, looking back, do you think that maybe there was a problem there, that you did not raise some alarms out there and said, we got a problem when trillions of dollars are being floated around the world in a deregulated, non-transparent way? When you heard people talking about the fundamentals of the economy being sound, how come you didn't raise an alarm?
Well, there was a massive credit crisis, and it's been true that our regulatory system and our financial supervisory system did not succeed in preventing those impacts. And I think it's very important that
did not succeed in preventing them. Let's take it another way. Do you think that the repeal of Glass-Steagall was a tragic mistake?
No, I don't think so. But I do think we need to have much more effective holding company and oversight supervision, and I strongly support a strong program of regulatory reform going forward.
Mr. Chairman, in my state, people ask me how it could be that you're providing loans at almost zero interest rates to large financial institutions who are then charging consumers 25 or 30% interest rates on their credit cards. Do you think that that's acceptable, or do you think that those institutions that are receiving help from the Fed should substantially cut those interest rates?
Well, with respect to credit cards, we've been working actively in that area in a couple of dimensions. One is that credit card credit availability will be enhanced by our TALF program, which I've just announced.
But you're not answering my question. Should a financial institution that is being bailed out by taxpayers charge those taxpayers 25 or 30% interest rates when they're receiving?
Well, you need to address that to the Treasury because it's the TARP that's providing help to failing or damaged firms. The Federal Reserve lends to healthy firms on a collateralized basis.
Last question. Many, again, of my constituents, and I think people all over this country, are wondering why the CEOs of these large financial institutions who have been extremely greedy, reckless, and maybe have engaged in illegal behavior have not been fired so that we can work with people who want to really reform the system. Should the CEOs of the financial institutions that have led us into this deep, deep recession be fired?
Well, pay and job tenure should depend on performance, and those which have performed poorly should lose their jobs.
Are any of them who have been...
Many have lost their jobs.
Most of them, the major guys, are still holding their positions.
Senator Alex. Absolutely amazing. Let's just go through that 5-minute clip and the lies that were there. Number one, the good news, before I get to the lies, though. This guy has an aura of invincibility, this aura of being God. You watch the body language and the verbal language when somebody like a president or a prime minister goes to speak before Congress. They shake their hand, act friendly, kiss their butt a little bit. When a private Federal Reserve chairman shows up, before they would quiver, they would shake, they would grovel. Reporters do that because they know this is really who owns and runs the country, these private banks that run these scams and masquerade as federal. And when you have people like Senator Sanders and just a few others treating them with the disrespect they treat us with, treating him like a common criminal that he is, and you heard Sanders saying some of them need to go to jail, that guy and Alan Greenspan, chief among them, Henry Paulson, all of them, Geithner, Summers, Volcker, they engineered what's happening now on record. And so Ron Paul and others need to start getting aggressive, not even disrespectful, but they need to be disrespected. We need to pull them down off their pedestals. We need to show people the common crooks they are. That's how this is going to happen, is people identify who the enemy is. Just identify the enemy. You do that, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. People are going to bring them to justice. You've just got to identify the criminals and the source of the infection. This is the cancer. Bernanke and the rest of them, they're the New World Order. They're the ones using all of this to get new regulations against their competitors while they've fallen under the regulations. That's their new regulations they're talking about. It's a global government over where your money goes, or some middle-class person trying to leave the country. See, they take the crises they create and always get more power. This global new bank that's going to run the world. Let's go through his lies. First off, we got to stand up to them and identify them as the scumbag crooks they are. That guy should be arrested immediately, not up there. But he didn't like it. He's not used to that. He's going to get more and more used to that, punks. We are identifying you for the den of vipers you are. There's no future if we don't. You heard him say, keep the Glass-Steagall Act. Keep the repeal of it that allowed all of these derivatives to happen. They're not changing any of it. The CEOs, the CEO caps, all the major banks are exempt from that. Another hoax. He lies and says that's all up on our website. And the Senator Sanders says, no, it's not. Who'd you give the money to? It just says on the website, we won't tell you. He goes, who'd you give it to? Oh, it's all on our website. No, it's not. And then he has to admit, okay, it's not there. A criminal liar counting on you being stupid. You have been not stupid, but diverted by football and acting cool and all this other crap, folks. If you don't worry about the banks, as the founding fathers and history shows, you get enslaved real fast. Okay, because with the stroke of a pen, they'll create enough money to buy the world back with, as Thomas Jefferson said. And as the head of the Bank of England in the 20s said. Then the biggest lie. He says there's no cost in these trillions of dollars we've given to private banks. Really, your taxes are going up. All these new regulations, we're going to pay carbon taxes to pay for all this. They're telling you it's over $20,000 per American, and that's in 5 months of the banker takeover. 9+ trillion since then. Plus the debt service on it, there's interest on it. But he says, oh no, you're not paying a penny, it's just free. When the banks have no intention of paying any of that back, and the government will just grow if they did. Then he lies and says they're doing something about credit cards. Everybody I know that's got credit cards, who even pay them, they might have a 3-4%, got good credit. Suddenly they're telling you it's 10%. If you have bad credit, they're going, it's no longer 18, it's 29. This is loan sharking, mafia level. So they do. They give the banks these trillions, And then they go out and loan it to people at giant interest. See, the interest rate cuts aren't for us, it's for the elites. And then he talks about how they're getting tough on CEOs. These guys, a few of them have retired, in one case with billion-dollar golden parachutes. Others, their deputies just roll into the place behind them. They're still on the board, so they're raping everybody financially there. And this is the culprit, Ben Bernanke. But that's how he needs to be talked to. When he starts lying, Sanders cut him off and said, hey, that's not what's going on. And Bernanke had to back off and basically admit he was a liar there because he was faced with someone that wasn't completely ignorant. I bet Sanders doesn't know about the Dallas Cowboys, but Senator Sanders knows how the banks work. I bet Senator Sanders doesn't know the coolest new T-shirt to wear, but he knows about the banks. And successful people know how the world works. Even if you don't care about your fellow man, you better care how stuff works. You better want to know how things operate, ladies and gentlemen. The world isn't all patty cake, nice, friendly. It's very dangerous. There's a lot of